Hello and heartily welcome to a new Docusnap video tutorial. Today we will talk about inventorying SNMP systems. SNMP is called Simple Network Management Protocol. And it would be really nice if it were that simple. But unfortunately, this subject is quite complex. We as publisher of Docusnap have gained a lot of experience over the years in dealing with networks and especially with SNMP, and would like to help you in this way. Very detailed and technical information about the subject can be found in our knowledge base on our website docusnap.com/support/knowledge base. And today I want to give you a brief overview of all these possibilities in Docusnap. Let's check it out. Here we are on the start screen of Docusnap. On the left-hand side, we find the different areas of Docusnap. Above here, the interactive ribbon bar, and here we have our Data Explorer. If you now want to take an inventory of your SNMP systems, you will find the Snmp Wizard in the ribbon bar above here. If you want to inventory SNMP systems, please consider the following points. Docusnap supports SNMP v1 to v3 to be able to trace the topology, CDP, LLDP, and spanning tree must be activated on the corresponding systems, and with Cisco systems you may have to increase the timeout and you may have to authenticate separately for SNMP v3. In the Snmp Wizard, I can now select the company first. This is particularly interesting for IT service providers that want to inventory and document several customers. Since I'm using Docusnap demo database here, Docusnap Sports fits, and therefore I will continue. The next step is to select the discovery service that will perform the inventory. Since I would like Docusnap to run this inventory automatically and recurrently, I choose the Docusnap server. In the third step, I can already determine the IP segments. And in step 4, I can plan SNMP v3 systems. Of course, it is possible to upload them in form of lists to save yourself the tedious manual entry. Step 5, I will receive a summary. And finally, it is possible to schedule the inventory. This is a very important step since we want to ensure that the IT documentation is always up to date. Once this has been completed and the inventory job has been finished, we receive the result in the form of current snapshots in our Data Explorer. Docusnap can already make a selection here using the names of the systems and divides the systems into backup, firewall, printers, storage, switches, and so on. The classification is based on keywords Docusnap checks for, and these can be edited individually. Therefore, we go to Management, Inventory, SNMP, SNMP types. When we go back, and I take the switch for example, and among the different snapshots for the system, we will find then a very interesting report about the respective system. Of course, you can also export this report again on a scheduled basis. It is very important, especially for the inventory of switches, that the scan runs during the peak hours. The more ARP cache information we can read out, the more valuable and the richer the information we can provide in the routing and the network maps. But don't worry, the inventory is very resource efficient, so that it will not have any negative impacts on your network performance. We make the inventory data available to you in this hierarchical tree form as just shown. In addition, Docusnap also prepares this data in form of ready-to-use reports that you can use directly. For example, you will find under the domain in the reports folder and here infrastructure net very interesting informations about printers, switches, VLAN overview, free IP addresses, and so on. The data can be viewed in report form as here, but what is also very popular and exciting is the graphical representation you find here under standard maps. We have here, for example, network map, routing map, topology map, and the VLAN map. Now let's have a closer look on the topology map. And here we can easily zoom in using the controls button and the mouse wheel. Here we already find some very interesting information, but we can also expand this up here in the VLAN. We can expand the VLAN tables, and we can also extend the ports with the VLAN information. When I scroll in now again, we will find also the VLAN tags here. Using the bar on the left-hand side, we can also have a closer look at the individual switches. I choose the switch 15. Here we find, in addition to the inventory data of the devices, the VLAN tags and other information. The systems with MAC addresses here are resolved and displayed in detail as soon as you take inventory of them with Docusnap. Until then, Docusnap assigns the systems to a publisher based on the MAC address. Here's a small tip. The view just shown is very high level and flat. However, if you maintain your physical infrastructure properly and assign your systems to your various locations, you will be able to display network, topology, VLAN maps, and so on in a finely structured manner for all your locations. And this makes the whole thing much clearer and much more accessible. If you want to adjust the data manually, this is also possible. Under Management, Inventory, Snmp, Edit Switch, you can edit the switches, for example. Here you can, among other things, customize the port information. The data which you have manually added will then remain and are not overwritten by the regular inventory runs. You can also set MAC filters. That means MAC address ranges which represent, for example, IP phones can be filtered right here, so that Docusnap then also displays them as phones. However, the cleanest solution would be to create such IP phones as IT assets and to store their respective MAC addresses in the network information. Then Docusnap really displays these systems correctly in the maps and reports. The field of Snmp is really very complex, and we as publisher naturally always try to be as up-to-date as possible. However, it is always possible that you use older switches for security reasons or whatever. And if you want to store custom MIPS for these, this is also possible, of course, in Docusnap. For this purpose, you can find under the point Snmp the Snmp MIPS. Here you can import any MIPS you want. Please note that a batch import is of course not possible in this case, as you have to adapt the OID structure individually for each MIP. The whole Snmp thing is very complex, of course, but I hope I was able to show you a little bit of what the whole thing might look like in your case and how you can integrate your Snmp systems into Docusnap's IT documentation to get a complete overview of your IT landscape. I hope you will join us again next time. Thanks for watching and bye-bye.